Have you ever caught yourself saying yes to a project you don't have the energy for, or agreeing to plans you secretly hope get canceled, just to avoid looking rude? You apologize when someone else bumps into you, and you lie awake at night wondering if a minor comment you made hours ago accidentally offended a coworker. We often label this behavior as being considerate, kind, or just a peacekeeper. But it isn't. This is a subtle, exhausting psychological trap known as people-pleasing. And it doesn't come from a place of kindness. It comes from a place of survival. Today, we are going to unpack the heavy, silent tax you pay for being too nice and how to finally break the cycle before it erases who you actually are. Imagine a typical Tuesday. A friend asks you for a massive favor that disrupts your entire week, or your boss drops an unrealistic workload onto your desk at 4:55 p.m. Inside, everything in you wants to say, "No, I can't do this right now." But as the word forms in your throat, a sudden wave of anxiety hits. Your chest tightens and a loud, intrusive thought takes over. If I say no, they will think I'm selfish. They will dislike me. They will leave. To escape that terrifying wave of potential rejection, you smile, nod, and say, "Sure, no problem." The anxiety subsides for a brief second, replaced immediately by resentment. You are angry at them for asking, but more importantly, you are deeply furious with yourself for folding yet again. You have just abandoned your own boundaries to protect someone else's comfort. To understand why saying a simple two-letter word feels like an existential threat, we have to look at how this behavior was programmed. No one is born a people pleaser. It is a conditioned coping mechanism. For many, it starts in early childhood, where love, validation, and safety were conditional. If you grew up around emotionally volatile, distant, or highly critical parents, you quickly learned to become a hyper-vigilant emotional radar. You realized that if you performed perfectly, anticipated every need, became completely invisible, or never caused trouble, you could keep the peace and avoid conflict. In psychology, this is called the fawn response, a survival mechanism where you adapt your behavior to appease a perceived threat. The problem is, you grew up, the original environment disappeared, but your brain kept the survival software running. Here is the uncomfortable truth that most people pleasers refuse to face. People pleasing is a form of manipulation. That sounds harsh, but let's look at it objectively. When you constantly alter your opinions, hide your anger, and pretend to be perfectly agreeable, just so people won't reject you, you are not presenting a real version of yourself. You are managing their perception of you. You are trying to control how they feel about you by offering a curated, synthetic version of who you are. This creates a deeply lonely reality. Because even when people praise you, love you, and want to be around you, a quiet voice in the back of your mind whispers, "They don't love me. They love the version of me that never says no." You become a prisoner of the very identity you built to protect yourself. The currency you use to pay for everyone else's comfort is your own mental and physical health. When you repeatedly swallow your boundaries, that unexpressed resentment doesn't just vanish, it goes internal. It manifests as chronic exhaustion, creative burnout, unexplainable irritability, and physical tension. You become highly resentful of the people around you, secretly labeling them as selfish or demanding, when in reality they are simply taking exactly what you are offering them. People will continue to cross boundaries that you refuse to draw. By always saying yes, you teach people that your time, your energy, and your peace of mind are always up for negotiation. You are teaching them that you value their opinion of you more than you value your own well-being. Let's look at how this cycle actually breaks. Consider someone who lived this way for decades, constantly taking on extra emotional labor, fixing everyone else's emergencies, and apologizing for simply existing. One day, reached a breaking point of total burnout, they decided to try a terrifying experiment. The next time a low-stakes demand was made on their time, they delivered a clean, polite, and entirely unapologetic, "No, I can't manage that this week." No long-winded excuses, no over-explaining, no begging for forgiveness. And the twist? The world didn't end. The person asking simply nodded, said, "Okay," and moved on to someone else. The massive, catastrophic explosion they had anticipated for years was nothing but a ghost in their imagination. The boundaries didn't destroy their relationships. It simply filtered out the people who were only there to consume their free energy. Setting boundaries is not an act of aggression. It is an act of self-preservation. When you begin to say no to things that drain you, you are finally saying a massive, overdue yes to yourself. You are allowed to be inconvenient, you are allowed to have flaws, to be tired, and to let someone else be disappointed by your decisions. The people who truly belong in your life will respect your boundaries, and the ones who get angry at your no are simply the ones who profited off your inability to say it. The next time you feel that familiar anxiety rising, take a deep breath, lean into the discomfort, and remember, you do not owe anyone an apology for occupying space in this world.